Let's watch the video with Maria Farmer, because I think this is just really important, guys. Okay, Maria Farmer, she is really important. She is. Again, guys, I want to stress something here before we get into this. The way through this case, because obviously the Epstein case is like, it's big, it's multi-layered. There's like guilty people. There are people that knew Epstein and were involved with him that weren't guilty. So there's going to be a lot of information to untangle. Okay, there's a lot of cover-up happening. Obviously, Trump is at the center of this thing. But the way through this, guys, the way through these cases is with the victims. Okay, the victims are the power source here because they're the ones who got us here. Okay, they're the ones who have spoken up. They're the ones who have fought against the death threats. They're the ones who continue to show up, put themselves out there on TV, standing up to the threats, defying the power structure and demanding justice. And they keep telling their stories. And so it's going to be the power of the victims and us rallying around them that's going to win this shit. That's how we're going to do this, right? They keep coming forward. And this one in particular, she's a big one, because what we're about to find out is Maria Farmer, when her sister Annie was molested by, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, Maria Farmer, her older sister, went to the FBI and she reported Jeffrey Epstein and she reported Donald Trump as people of interest in this really weird behavior going on. Because part of this was the way Jeffrey Epstein had set it up. He was like a benefactor. He was like sponsoring girls if they're into art, if they're into modeling. I believe with Annie Farmer, he was promising to like pay for her college, right? That's how they sort of got in there, by being the helpful benefactors, right? The really wealthy benefactors that are here to help the downtrodden girls, okay? And then really what they want to do is they want to get their paws on them and they want to sell them out to people like Donald Trump.
Is Maria Farmer, who says Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assaulted her. So she says she saw Trump at Epstein's office late at night in 1995. At the time, she was 25 years old. Epstein had just hired Farmer, who was an artist, to help him acquire art. Now, Farmer urged the FBI to look at Trump's connections to Epstein twice, in 1996 and again in 2006, which, of course, means Trump's name could very well be in those government files that the administration is refusing to release.
And, of course, now we know Trump's name is all over them. But look at that. She did it in 96 and 2006. So she reported Epstein and Donald Trump before he got busted twice, 10 years, 11 years before it. So, man, she was on the forefront of this thing. But again, though, you ready? That first report in 96, who was in office, guys? Billy Clinton was in office. I mean, we know that Bill Clinton is probably highly likely involved in this as well. I'm sure there's many, many people in the upper echelon. And dude, I'm ready for all those dominoes to fall, dude. I'm fine with getting rid of all those motherfuckers. I have no loyalty, right? I don't. I have no allegiance to guys that abuse teenage girls.
Maria Farmer is now suing the government to try to get the unredacted files about the allegations she brought forward about Epstein. Now, President Trump has not been the target of any investigation related to Epstein, nor has he been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in this case. Maria Farmer is out front now for her first television interview, sharing her story since filing her lawsuit, and she is joined by her attorney, Jennifer Freeman. So thanks very much to both of you. And Maria, I want to give everyone a chance to understand exactly what happened here. I mean, you said that Jeffrey Epstein calls you to come to his office and you go, and then you're sitting there waiting and Donald Trump walks in. What happened?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on, Aaron. I really appreciate it, because I need to say up front that I've waited 3 decades to be able to even be heard.
Dude, that's crazy. 3 decades. 96, guys. Okay? 96. 29 years. She reported Epstein and Trump to the FBI in 96, 11 years before he actually got busted. If they had listened to her and investigated, hundreds, if not thousands of girls could have been saved. Okay. Then she reports him again 10 years later. Nothing happens. Then he finally gets busted. And then Alex Acosta lets him off, gives him immunity. Right. Then Trump makes Acosta his labor secretary. Then Epstein gets busted, ends up dead. The whole thing gets swept under the rug. Ghislaine goes to prison. Trump is in office again. 29 years later, she's like finally getting to say her piece. And it's finally coming around for Trump. It is sad, but man, it's inspiring, bro, because 29 years later, she is still pressing on this. And this is important, man. We got to keep pressing on this until we change our society, to stop letting rapists off and stop, rewarding them with promotions and shit.
About this, because the government has not held any of the people I reported accountable. And so basically the night before I went in, before I began working for Epstein, he called me at very late in the evening and asked me to come up to the Helmsley Palace offices. And I didn't even have money for a subway token. It's kind of embarrassing. So I had to go running up there. And so I told Epstein, I'll be up there. It'll probably take me until like 9. He's like, okay. So I get there and I'm waiting. It's dark. Like there's no light on in the offices. And I thought that was really weird. So I'm seated against the wall in the main part of the offices and just waiting for Epstein. And he says, I'll be out in a minute, and he's got the door closed. And then a few minutes later, this man walks in a business suit, kind of tall, imposing. And I immediately was like, that's Donald Trump. What's he doing here? I'm supposed to be working for Epstein and interviewing with him. Why is Donald Trump here? And he walked up about, a few feet from me and just stood over me in a very imposing way and looked at me like he was in on some secret or something. It was really weird, like smirking kind of. And I felt threatened, so I made an ugly face.
Dude, it's so weird because whenever I hear these women, okay, you hear these women tell their stories of like encountering Trump and the things he says or the way he behaved, and I can just totally picture it. Like, can't you just picture Trump seeing a young girl, right, sitting in a dark office and just walking up and like looming over her, looking at her like a piece of meat and like silently dominating her, making her feel all uncomfortable and shit, just exercising his fucking superiority? And yeah, Trump did say he's never been to Epstein's office, but man, that is the most easily disprovable lie out there.
And when I made that ugly face, Epstein walked out from the offices on this side. Trump's standing here, I'm here, and he walks out of his office and he goes, oh, no. He was laughing at me and he goes, she's not here for you. Follow me, right?
Oh, fuck, dude. She's not here for you. So Trump like thought whatever teenager he ordered or some shit, that he thought that was his like menu item. Dude, this shit is so gross, bro. Jesus.
And he escorts him in to this other room. And I always wondered, who was she in there? Was someone in there, right? And I have no way of knowing, nothing. But
dude, Trump gets pulled into the office. There was somebody there for Trump, like dude, it's so gnarly, man. It's like so gnarly, dude. He's so gross. He's so fucking gross.
I felt very intimidated because I had on running shorts and I was vulnerable, sweaty, just a nobody in an office with these two men. That it felt very predatory and uncomfortable. I have to say that when I made that ugly face, he backed off. It wasn't like he was aggressive after that. Now,
one thing I want to note, okay, that we're talking New York City here. This is in the 90s. In the 90s in New York City, obviously Epstein was wealthy. He had the biggest, most expensive house in all of Manhattan, okay, an $80 million home. Now, Donald Trump in the 90s, this was right before The Apprentice. This was kind of like the peak of his popularity, if you could say that. a lot of people didn't like him, but he had done those cameos in like Home Alone and shit. And so he was a person that was extraordinarily well known. So for this young girl in her running shorts and all sweaty, she's there. Donald Trump comes walking in. It's like, wow, why is this guy who's like one of the big hobnobbers of all of New York City, even though a lot of people hated him, that was the peak of his like notoriety in the city was during the 90s. Okay. If there was ever a moment where there was a good aura around him, it was then. And that led to The Apprentice. That's why he got the show. He just sort of like shoehorned his way into every sort of corner of society. Fashion Week, obviously, with John Casablancas and bringing him in and Trump models and the beauty pageants. He had sort of like bought his way into kind of the fashion world, which the fashion world's like the cornerstone of New York City society.
But he made a really vulgar comment following. And I don't know if it was like, like locker room talk in the 90s, the way men were. But he made a joke to Epstein, oh, I thought she was 16. And I thought that was so strange because at the time my sister she was 15 actually. And I didn't think it was funny, even though it was just a little bit inappropriate. But I thought, I don't know what it was. But anyway, and then they entered that room.
So Epstein says, she's not for you. And then when did Trump make the comment about your age? Again, you were 25 at the time, right? So, I mean, you were a 25-year-old woman. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
was
a woman.
After Epstein
right.
said that comment that he made the comment about age, or?
Yes. So he first said, no, she's not here for you, which immediately made me feel weird. Like, was there someone there, right, in that other room? And so that's another reason I was nervous. And so as soon as he said that, laughed, I made the face, all that stuff, they started to walk away into that other room where he's escorting him. He goes, come with me. And he takes Trump into this other room in the offices at 9 o'clock at night. And there's no one else in, that I know of in these offices, but was someone in that room. So I always wondered what that was about. And anyway, that comment was made under his breath as they were entering that room.
As they were in that room.
And I thought it was rude. I don't care what age I was. Like, it's rude to say.
Which, Jennifer, I guess, brings me to where you are now. I know you're helping Maria now sue to get the unredacted government files related to her story. What do you expect these will show?
Well, we would really like
to. Yes.
Excuse me. We'd really like to understand what's in those files and because we really have never had access to them. We've been making FOIA requests, and we had to bring a lawsuit to get access to the files, as well as to hold the government accountable, which is what this suit is really about.
So, Maria, when you talk about the closeness of the relationship, when you were working for Epstein, you say that he was present very regularly. How close were they, as far as you were able to tell?
Well, like Epstein said, he inherited him in the divorce. He said, basically, you're going to see us together all the time. We're fixtures because in the divorce, I inherited Trump and Ghislaine inherited Ivana.
So this was all happening shortly after the Ivana, the fallout from the Ivana divorce, which was a huge spectacle. And then Trump was involved with Marla Maples. That's when Tiffany was born, et cetera, et cetera.
Said, you're not going to see him at the house the way you see Ivana, and you're not going to see her at the offices the way you see Trump. And, it was just, it was a known thing, like among the staff and everyone, that they were best friends. And Epstein bragged about it. And I gave up 30 years to report this. And it's a very serious thing to fight the government. It's been unbelievable. I've been fighting 2 cancers because of it.
Maria, when we reached out to the White House for a comment, they responded, and I'll just read for you what they said.
Okay.
Quote, the president was never in Epstein's office, and in fact, the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep. They then say that Trump, they're clear there. They say he was never in Epstein's office, which, of course, from the original incident that you're talking about is where this occurred, according to your recollection, at the 𝗏𝗡𝗎ley building in New York.
He was absolutely in the offices.
So what do you say when they give a response like this?
Yes. I say that they're being disrespectful to the fact that I have given up my entire life for this case just to have it investigated. And I'm really sorry for him that he's caught, but, I don't know what to say to that. He's lying.
Dude, well, they are professional liars, and we know that. But we saw the footage yesterday of Epstein's brother saying, look, man, Trump was at Epstein's offices many times. You can subpoena the fucking people that worked there. Everybody saw him. It wasn't all hidden. In this instance, it was at 9 p.m. at night and nobody was there except for whoever was hiding inside the that other dark room. But Epstein's employees most certainly saw Trump there, and they know he was there. This is from 3 years ago. This is Maria Farmer's younger sister. She actually testified during Ghislaine Maxwell's hearing. She was Maria Farmer's younger sister who Epstein was going to pay for her college, invited her to New Mexico to have an orientation or something about helping her fund college. She thought there were going to be a whole bunch of other girls there that he was paying for their college, but it was just her. And then Ghislaine and Epstein proceeded to kind of violently feel her up, okay, during this thing. And she testified against Ghislaine Maxwell in the trial. Again, a testament to the victims going on the stand, taking the stand to make sure that these people come to justice, In
this hour with the sentencing of former socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, who was sentenced to prison for 20 years yesterday for helping Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse underage girls. Now, Maxwell was convicted of 5 charges, including child sex trafficking, recruiting, and grooming underage girls between 1994 and 2004. Annie Farmer, we're happy to say, is one of the survivors who testified at the trial. She says she was just 16 when she met Epstein and Maxwell and was groped by both of them. Farmer testified that Maxwell's presence made her think that she'd be safe around Epstein. And Annie Farmer joins us in studio. Annie, I'm so glad to see you in person. Really glad you're here. I was thinking about you yesterday. Tell us what the day was like for you, how you felt.
It was a very intense day emotionally, but it was also a tremendous relief to hear that sentence read and to know that she's going to be spending the majority of her life behind bars for the crime she's committed.
And before she was sentenced, you read a victim impact statement.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to read it verbatim, but what was your message?
I really spoke directly to the judge. I wanted her to take into account some of the long-term impacts that these kinds of crimes have and have had for me and for my sister Maria. And I wanted her to understand that there's systemic effects of those, that it's not just about those individuals, but also about all their loved ones and the pain and suffering that communities go through because of these crimes. And then for me, also the lack of remorse that she'd shown and how this fight for justice, because she would not be honest, because she continued to lie, how much that created a black hole for all of us of having to continue to fight, put our time and energy into making this day happen.
Yeah,
and again, think about what Ghislaine did, because Ghislaine protected all the abusers. She basically kept quiet, didn't turn in any of the people who abused these girls for decades. She just tight-lipped it and just protected all of those degenerate motherfuckers, man. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.